Shut up.
All right. Welcome back, YouTubers. So glad you're subscribing. Can't wait to pop up on your notifications while you're playing Xbox or whatever. Today we're going to be doing a bank reconciliation statement, and then we're going to write a check, and then we're going to journalize a couple different things. So, first things first, we're going to do the bank statement. Realistically, if you take these numbers and put them where they're supposed to go, it's really easy. So it says on September 30th, we received a bank statement. So again, banks send out paper statements usually a day before month's end. So if it's the next day, you will have transactions not actually on the bank statement. That's where these issues can come into play. So it is September 30th. So go ahead and put that as the date. And then let's go from top to bottom and just put these things where they're supposed to. Bank statement balance, $89.23. So we have two balance spots, balance on check stub or balance on bank statement. Well, bank statement balance, $89.23. Let's put that right here. $89.23 and no cents. And then if you want, scratch that off. Next is a service charge or a bank charge. Take a look around, see if you can find a charge area all the way on the left. So this one is a service charge. Some banks charge you just to have an account with them. Agreed. If you have a bank like that, you should change it. So your total bank charges, well, actually, let's just keep going. Next one, outstanding deposit. So this means on September 30th, you walked into the bank and you made a $8.96 deposit. So we have add outstanding deposits. So this is on 9-30. And we made a deposit of $8.96. So again, the reason that this isn't on the bank statement is they hit file print on the 29th, and then you walked in on the 30th and handed them $896. So that is obviously not going to be on the paper unless it's magical paper, which would be sweet. Next, we have three outstanding checks. Outstanding checks are checks that have been written and then handed to someone, but not yet cashed by that person. So check number 220 is for $75. So check number 220 is $75. Scratch that off. Check 221 is for $150. Scratch that off. And then the next one, that's a big one. That's a keeper. Check 224. You wrote an $1,173 check to someone, and they decided not to cash it yet. That must mean they are rich. And then the last one is check stub balance on check stub 225 is $84.29. So balance on check stub number blank, our check stub is 225. Remember, stubs and checks are numbered sequentially, so that in theory you never have another check stub 225. And the balance is $84.29. So again, the whole idea behind this is your accounting document, your check stub, says you have $8,429. The bank sends you a document that says you have $89.23. That's a problem. You got to figure out why that is. So we'll do the left side first. Working from top to bottom, we have our balance. Then we have a bank charge of $8. So you put your bank charge there. It actually tells you what to do. It tells you you're going to deduct bank charges. So let's just subtract these. When you subtract it, you get $84.21. So that is your adjusted check stub balance. You believe that you have $8,421. If you do have that, can I borrow $800 or $8,000, please? Somebody? No? All right, moving on. The right side. This is what the bank says you have, and then you have some things that have not posted yet. So, 8923, and then it says add outstanding deposits. How many total deposits do we have? We only have one. It is for a total of 896. So, someone please in a calculator add these two numbers and then tell me what you get. Maybe like 97 or 9800, something like that. 9,819. Thank you, Burns. You're now YouTube famous. Then we have 3 checks that have been written but not yet cashed. They are outstanding. And we're going to deduct them from the balance. So let's total them up and then write that number here. Someone total up 1173, 150, and 75. Someone who wants to be YouTube famous.
Nope, everyone's like, no.
$1,398. Thank you, Caitlin. No. All right, and then the last part, we have to take our subtotal up here, subtract the amount of checks that we wrote, and then see what we get. So take the 8919, the 9819, and the 1398 and subtract them. Someone do that in the calculator. Tell me what you get. 8,421. I know. So what that means is you are balanced. So you should have plugged this into your calculator, but if you know you did all this up top correctly, these two will equal. If these two equal, you're good, and you get to move on. So this is a bank statement reconciliation form. All banks have this a little bit differently, but accountants do this probably once a month if there are outstanding things. Give it the old flippity flop. Now we got to write a check. Yeah, this is the test. Now, writing a check is just this side. Most people just do this. This side is if you have a business checking account. So most people have this. Some people have this. All right, so the first part, we'll just go through directions 1 through 5. It says the balance brought forward on check stub 106 is 5530. So balance brought forward, that's this box right here. That is what you believe your account balance to be. So you write 5530. So prior to anything happening in this transaction, you got $5,530. Number 1 is done. Number 2, a deposit of $1,742 is made on November 5th of the current year. So the very next line on the check stub is amount deposited. First, it has the date, 11-5-18. That's 8 days shy of my birthday, just in case you guys want to start saving some money. It's coming up. This goes for YouTube fam. You throw me a supplies party. It's a deposit of $1,742. That's when Mr. Carlson was born. Oh, YouTube burn. If Mr. Carlson can ever learn how to use YouTube, he might see that burn. Oh. Yeah. That's funny. The best part is he'll never hear that. All right. Someone's definitely gonna play that for him. Yeah. That's the best way to talk trash. All right. The next part is the subtotal. You're going to add your balance plus your deposit. So you got a 2, a 7, a 2, carry the 1, 72.72. That is your subtotal. It's the amount you have plus your deposit. The next part says, and notice is received from the bank of a bad check for $150 plus a $25 fee, $175. So when you try to cash a bad check or deposit a bad check, it charges you. The bank says, hey, you tried to cash a bad check. So they take the money of the check out and they charge you a bad check fee or a dishonored check fee or a non-sufficient fund fee. So on this other line, you can write bad check because it's going to be a fee. You probably would actually write dishonored check, but I'm not going to write that. That sounds weird. Bad check. 175. So now are we adding this to our balance or deducting it? Good. So 72.72 minus 175. Someone tell me what that is. Beat ya. Now I'm going to be YouTube famous. 7,097. So your subtotal is 7,097. And now we get to actually write out the check. So it says check 106 is issued to Melody's Cleaning Supplies. It's for $80 on November 5th. Sign the check using your name. So let's fill out the check side or the stub side first. It says it's an $80 check. So on the stub, go ahead and write the $80. The date we're writing this is November 5th, 11-5 of 2018. It is to Melody's Cleaning Supplies. And it is for, I would guess, supplies. Buy a bunch of supplies from Melody so you can have a supplies party. All right, so that's the check stub side. Now let's write the check. Pay to the order of Melody's Cleaning Supplies. It is for $80. It's happening on November 5th, 2018. You're going to write out the number in words right here. So it's 80 and 0 1/100ths of a dollar. So I already have dollars written in there for you. It is for supplies. Get out of here. And then you sign it in the lower right. So that is the check. You would then rip that off and hand that to Melody or Melody's Cleaning Supply staff. Then, to finish the stub, amount this check. It's an $80 check. So the balance carried forward is your subtotal minus the check. So that's going to be 70.17. Mental math. And that is it for the check stub and check. Last part, we're going to journalize a couple transactions. April 2nd, received notice from the bank of a bad check from the Jackson Group plus a $25 fee for a total of $560, memo 120. Memo 120. So, April 2nd, if somebody paid you on account, you would credit their account receivable. If it turns out that the money they paid you on account was bad, you now have to debit their account receivable. So it's going to be account receivable, Jackson Group, you're going to charge them the full amount, the full $560. So you're debiting their account $560. And if you walked into the bank and made a check deposit of the $535, and then later they're like, hey, that $535 is no good, you have to credit your cash. And then they also charged you a fee for $25, so you have to credit that cash also. So cash, $560. So you got your $560. Doc number is memo 120. So that is your first transaction. Next one says paid cash on account to Delight Drums, $675 using EFT. That's an electronic fund transfer. That's like if you use PayPal or Venmo or Zelle or Quick Cash or Cash App or any of those things popping up. It's happening on the 2nd. We're paying cash on account, which means my cash is going to go down. So if cash is the credit, we know that the account receivable is going to be the debit. Account payable. ActPay, Delight Drums. It's $675. And my credit is going to be cash, $675. Memo 121. That one's done. Next, purchase supplies, $165 using a debit card, memo 122. This is just like using cash. When you swipe your debit card, it comes out of your checking account. So we are purchasing an asset, the asset of supplies. So supplies is the debit. Cash is the credit. It is $165 and $165. Memo 122. Next one, paid cash to establish a petty cash fund, $100. A petty cash fund is a literal, actual, physical amount of cash that is usually by the register, accessible by the manager or employees to use for random stuff. You establish it in the beginning of the month, and then you just repay it by the end. You use it throughout the month. So to establish it, on the 3rd, petty cash is going to be an asset, so it goes up on the debit side. So petty cash, and we're funding it using our checking account cash. So we're just trading out $100 of our checking account cash to our petty cash. We use check 159. It's $100 here, $100 here. Next, on the 29th, said recorded a bank service charge. It was $7.50. Memo 130. So a bank service charge, you could record that in a number of ways. If it happened every month, you probably would make a ledger for it, but I don't know if it does. So we're just going to call it an expense It's kind of a random expense that sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. So what would we call that? Miscellaneous expense. And it's coming out of our cash account. It's $7.50. It's memo 130. $29th is done. And the last one. Every single year something happens on this transaction and kids end up using they add in lines down here because they journalized this part wrong. When you replenish the petty cash fund, you don't actually use the account petty cash. You just write down the things that you spent and you write that it was out of cash. Because technically it was out of cash because petty cash is cash. That seems confusing. Let's just journalize this and see what happens. Paid cash to replenish the petty cash fund, $58.50. So then they have a colon there, and then it has the things that they spent. So these are 3 things that they bought. If you were to add these 3 things up, they equal the 58. Sometimes what kids do is they journalize this on the 30th. In their first one, they write petty cash, $58.50. Then they write supplies, miscellaneous, and postage. And then by the time they're writing cash, they're out of room. So you don't actually write petty cash. You start with supplies. So supplies was purchased with petty cash. Would have been $16. We also paid a miscellaneous expense, $25 worth. And then we paid a postage expense, $17.50. And so those 3 things added up equal our $58.50. So what you actually do is you go to the bank with a check for $58.50, you cash it, and then you take the $58.50 and put it back into your petty cash box. Because you're not actually writing this check number 160 for these 3 things, because they were paid out of petty cash. You're writing a check to put the exact amount of these 3 things back into petty cash. So you write a check, it's cash, it's $58.50, it's check 160, C 160. And notice you will use all of the lines and you will not need to write in an extra one. If at any time you find yourself writing in an extra line, that's a little note to yourself that you done goofed. And your accounting knowledge is a real liability.
Shut the video now.
All right, so that is Chapter 5 practice test. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to retweet and find me on Snapchat at, just kidding, I don't have a Snapchat because I'm old. Peace.